Well, hi everybody. So today I'm going to be interviewing one of our newest BNI Regency members, Malcom Scott Walby, who is our commercial solicitor. And I'm quite excited to meet him. He's a fascinating chap. And I'm going to find out what makes him tick, why he's a BNI member, and a bit about his business. And he's just here. So I'm quite excited. So I'm going to go and meet him now, and I'll bring you along. So I hope you enjoy. This is episode 4 of A Day in the Life of a BNI Member, and I'm interviewing Malcom Scott Walby. See you in a minute. So here we are. I am with Malcom Scott Walby, and I have to say I'm really excited about this one. I am really excited about interviewing you. And you are sort of latest BNI member. However, you're not a virgin to being BNI.
No.
So you intrigued me in that way. Why did you move from another BNI chapter? But that's another story. So welcome everybody. I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions and we'll just have a nice discussion. And I'll get my cup of coffee over here. Oh, lovely. And so the first question I have to ask you, Malcom, is why did you become a solicitor?
Well, I had been a Royal Naval officer. I'd worked in oil exploration. I'd been a truck driver. I'd done a lot of travelling, and I had spent the entire summer hauling straw bales. And I went to see a friend of mine, and I said, "What do I do that gives me a career?" And she said, she was the mother of one of my oldest friends, and she said, "Solicitor. I've always thought you'd make a great solicitor."
How old were
I did
you?
it. I was nearly 27.
Okay, so you sort of like looked for your own journey.
Yeah, I
did a number of things.
I've
And
got a lot of life experiences.
can you imagine?
And had a lot of fun, had complete irresponsibility, and then I decided to grow up and be sensible, and went off and spent 4 years in London studying, and then 2 years doing my articles in a big city law firm.
And how did you find that working in that environment? I mean, you know,
Quite tough. As a Royal Naval officer, you didn't say please, you just gave commands.
Yeah.
And you do that with a posh city solicitor's secretary, and the response is not the most cooperative.
Can imagine.
So,
And what firm was it that you?
there was a fellow called S.J. Bowen. Stanley Bowen himself was a Rothschild, and was married to a Rothschild as well, and had been the chief exec of N.M. Rothschild. So it was very much that inner London city money background.
Fine roots there.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so. It was a very interesting time. At one time, I acted for Sir James Goldsmith. I've opened letters from Liz Taylor, and all sorts of people. You know, it's quite interesting the things that happen.
And when you're doing a job like that, I suppose it's quite an inspirational thing to do, I guess, because you start to cut your teeth and think, you know, where is this going to take me? When did you get the itch to want to discover your own journey?
Well, the City of London's hard.
I can imagine.
It is. If you leave the office before 7 o'clock, you are frowned upon. Most people would work 7 till 7, 7 till 11. I've done 3 nights in the office, finishing about 4 o'clock in the morning on Christmas morning. It's tough. It's a very tough environment. You don't expect a marriage to survive that environment. And also, frankly, the people who work there are super bright. So they're mega hardworking, super bright, mad nutcases. I was never going to fit in. I had other interests in my life. And I enjoyed the social life. I played rugby for the Honourable Artillery Company, which was huge fun. All these mad blokes who worked in the city as money makers and market makers and things like that. It was great fun, but at the end of the day, I'm a little bit of a country boy and enjoy going out for walks with the dog in the evening and things like that. So
it's a lifestyle, though, isn't it? You have a job like that, it becomes your life. It's not. You don't have another life. It's like you work for a firm like that, they expect your pound of flesh.
Totally. Yeah. It becomes your... I mean, there was one guy I worked for, lovely man, used to take me out for lunch, really nice guy. He had 1 day off a year, and that was his birthday. So that was... Yeah, to me, there's more to life.
Well, I suppose being a naval officer and being a military man, you commit yourself to the job.
Very much
so. You've got that balance, I guess, as opposed to.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I have to say, for the same reason, sort of 2 or 3 months at sea was not always as attractive as you could possibly imagine.
Oh no, absolutely.
In those days, they were all male ships.
Yeah, of course, and I mean, could be worse. Could be a submariner.
Yeah, the submariners. Funny enough, submariners is one of the best jobs I can ever imagine. It's incredible job. You're so focused, and you're part of a team beyond anything you could ever imagine in your family. It really is quite something.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, going back to thinking about where you worked, there must have been a moment or during a job that you thought, I've had enough of this, or I like this, I could do this on my own. There must have been that moment that just pushed you over the edge. Can you recall it?
Yes, I can. I was sat in front of a 150-page lease, looking at it, not understanding almost a word that was said there. Meanwhile,
so it's not just us.
The guy sat next to me and had a first from Oxford, and he was flicking through it saying, "Oh, this is very interesting. Look at page 150." I was going, oh, God help me. So I really, to me, the law, life, business, fun, family, pleasure, it's all about people. It's all about people in my book. And I deal with people every day of the week, and usually I can find my way through a nitty problem by thinking about people.
Absolutely, humanity.
And that's where I aim at. Good people, bad people, it doesn't really make much difference to me. It's just people are the solution as well as the problem.
I totally agree. The interesting thing about that moment where you decide, what is my life worth and what's valuable to you is quite a profound time, because it can happen several times in your life. So are you still married to the same person?
Yes, I was going out with the same lady I've been married to for over 30 years now as a trainee.
She put you up with you then?
She did. My boss at the time apparently held a little bit of a candle for me and used to ask me out for pizzas occasionally.
Oh, nice.
She was a very nice lady who also was most of the horrendous tyrants you've ever known in your life. So she caused me to nearly die when I was suffering and got an anaphylactic shock from the treatment I had to take. And my wife saved my life.
Wow, what a lovely story.
So,
and she still does to this day.
She saves my life every day of the week.
Oh, you're just such a romantic. I love that. Now, I mean, going back to education after that time takes some serious, knuckling down to.
It sort of does. The law is fascinating though, because the law is about real life. I went to see a consultant about what I should do for a career, and she said, I think you should do a geography degree, which did not excite me.
No.
So when I was suggested law, and then when I actually start studying law, you suddenly go, well, life is like a motorway, and you just give me a free pass to the fast lane, because I know what's happening. I know how to deal with things. I know what the answer is. And it's a great situation to be in.
I mean, you must be very good with your emotions then. I know that I'm absolutely rubbish at my emotions, so I can't do poker face. I mean, there've been times in business I've created a couple of fantastic businesses that have done really well, and I think at the time there I should have been a better. When you get honey potion poured in your ear.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm no good at that sort of thing. I get too passionate about things.
Oh, well, that's good then.
You get clients who start off as names, and then they become names you're interested in, then they became known to her friends, and you really want to do your very best for them, and it's a trap. Because you have got to make the effort occasionally to sit back and go,
well, of course,
let's be logical.
Of course, yeah.
But you don't fall in love with clients, but you become very passionate about doing your very best for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I can imagine that. There's been times where, you know, the quality of what you do every day, the people around you matter more.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just have to walk away from things, and the hardest things is to say no.
Yeah.
You know, I totally understand. But having a practice like this, it must be quite motivating when you invest yourself in someone maybe more than you would want to, and you see an outcome.
Yeah.
But their testimonial, I guess, to you would be, you know, they took a real interest in what I've got, rather than it's just a number and a tick box.
Yeah, I once was advising a lady who was in real estate. She'd been treated very, very badly by her employer, and I resolved it, and I got her a hell of a claim, 3 times what the estimation was. So she was over the moon, but more than that, she was justified in life. She was proved right for one of the first times in her life. She was proved 100% right. And I met her 3 months later in the park. I didn't recognise her. She had changed so much from this, frankly, a mess who kept bursting out of tears, to someone who was bright and jolly and attractive and had a real pizzazz. That's how life can be changed by a positive outcome.
Oh, we can have horrible people knock us down. I've had an experience where I work with people who on TV supposedly, you know, it's all about them, but actually behind the scenes there was a lot of work done, and you can get really your confidence ripped down to shreds. And you know, it's once you're down there, there's no ladder or rope that can pull you out. It's people around you that do that, and you surround yourself with the people that help you, you know, pull yourself forward. And some people can do it, some people can't. So if someone was to say, oh, what was Malcom Walby's experience like, what would you think they'd say?
I hope they would say it was good.
Yeah.
They made money. Well, they came out of things on the right side.
And you know, that's there's a lot of value to defending the righteous. In the sense of, you know, if someone's the unjust approach to...
There's 2 sides to it. I have clients, particularly on the employment side, who are employee claimants, and some of them have been treated very badly, like sex discrimination, race discrimination, disability discrimination. It's not pretty stuff.
No.
So if you do someone a good job there, then you've changed their lives. Having said that, I act for lots and lots of companies. Companies is really my bread and butter, and I enjoy working for companies because I come from that employer background. And in my view, small family businesses, they pay their taxes, they keep the economy of the UK going. They're generally good people who want to do best for their customers, for their employees, for their families. And I feel I'm doing my bit to support them. And that to me is actually very important.
And actually that leads nicely on to what I wanted to ask you. Looking at all of your history and all of the things that have passed your desk, or even watching the news, what would be one of your motivating sort of brand or entrepreneurial stories that you thought, you know, that's something that, you know, it gives me a tickle, or you know?
I was acting for a guy who had a group of care homes. And we got rid of an employee who was a nuisance and self-serving and corrupt and nasty. And I said to him, so that's all right, now you can get back to making money. He said, I don't make money in my business. And he had 3 people in his business who were costing him a lot of money. And I said, well, let's address it. And it took us about 18 months. We got rid of all 3. And I saw him about 6 months after that. And he said, I have made £1 million in the past 6 months because of the difference you have caused to my business.
Well, that's just wonderful.
So he went from almost going bust to highly profitable. And
it's hard dealing with people who are like that as well, because they can be quite tricky. And you often need someone, you know, as your coach, your sort of mentor. You're more than a solicitor, you're a mentor.
Yeah, you have to get trust. You have to get trust initially. And we ended up very close friends. You know, I did a eulogy for him, and we ended up really, really, really close friends. He phoned me just before he died, and it was heartwarming to have that relationship, and I'll never forget that relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. And and you use those experiences and you take them into other jobs.
Of course.
You know, that's why I love BNI in some ways, because in that room there is not just the fact that I've got a profession, there actually is a background story to everybody, and that's the gold as far as I'm concerned. That's the gold. So, do you like tea or coffee? What's tea? And
Clipper tea.
How do you
Clipper tea from Bedminster? One of my oldest clients, been acting for over 25 years.
Is it a teapot or a bag?
Oh, look, if I was given a teapot with a strainer, I'd take your hand.
Yes, absolutely.
Fantastic.
You've got to do that. That's the only way to drink tea, isn't it? I mean, you're a naval officer, you know the proper way to drink tea now, for God's sake.
I once took a cup of tea up on top of on the bridge of HMS. Can't think of the name. One of the original Leander class frigates.
Yeah.
And we changed direction, and I literally fell from one side of the bridge to the other side of the bridge without touching the floor.
Yeah.
That was a 30-foot drop.
And you didn't drop your tea?
I got tea everywhere.
I thought the story was going to come out and the tea was safe.
No.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, so why someone with such rich history and a great experience as yourself, why do you need us little BNI members in it? Why is BNI important?
Oh, well, there we are. You're stuck in an office on your own. You've got some very nice colleagues. I'm so lucky here. I've got lovely people I work with. Every day to go out and meet other business people, and that's the joy of BNI. You're not meeting reps, you're meeting business people. And to meet them and share their pain, share their joys, share their laughter, and also get some very nice referrals. I've got one referral I received from a lady who happened to bump into somebody when she was waiting for her kids at school, and he'd just come to this country, he needed a solicitor. I've billed tens of thousands of him, but actually the reason he's now got a successful business is because we put that work in. If he'd gone to a bigger firm that would have maybe cashed in on him, I doubt if he would have pulled it off. There was lots of quite tricky negotiations to get that business afloat. He had some great intellectual property rights. He had some great investors. He also had various parties who were represented by lawyers who were determined to make the thing into a nightmare. And we had to overcome the other lawyers more than anything else. They were the problem.
It's funny.
Big firm lawyers where they charge 8 hours a day.
When my experience of selling the business to Universal Pictures was that you didn't have any businessmen in there. You were in a room on your own. There were 6 lawyers just completely crucifying you. So
my own profession doesn't paint itself in glory in those situations. It's quite scary.
And at the same time, it's like a dentist, isn't it? You find a good dentist, you don't want to leave them.
Well, I took over my family business when it was insolvent. I never went bust.
Yeah.
I ran it for 4 years and turned it around. The biggest customer then went bust, owing me £193,000. I carried on trading with the bank's agreement and cooperation, and with my own support to the company. And we sold the business 8 months later for £1. And then over the past 6 or 7 years after that, I sold various bits of land that we retained for about £2.5 million. So that's what happens when you've got a business plan to yourself.
Very true.
You're determined. Yeah. You don't give up. You fight on, and you've got that knowledge of being a lawyer. And
it makes me think. If you were to say to someone starting out with a great business idea, what would you say were the sort of the golden tips? When you go, it's all about setting the right routes, isn't it? When you think of something, what would be your tips that you say to someone? Make sure you do.
So you got a great idea, but you need someone with some cash. So you get into bed, you go into business with someone with cash. So first of all, you need a shareholders agreement, and the shareholders agreement lays out who does what and what your various rights are. I would also fight for a good trademark. So you come up with a brand name. I was talking to someone earlier on today. His business is just what he does. It is what it says on the tin. If he was buying a tin of paint, it would say white paint on that tin, and that's what he named his company. With nothing individual about it. Didn't even say white, actually, just paint. So I would say come up with an individual name which has value in its own right.
Yes.
Huge amount of value.
Agreed.
So I would do that, and then I would get together my trading terms and work through them. For instance, if you set up trading terms which says something like, for the first month of trading, you'll pay on demand. For the next month of trading, we'll give you a week's credit. For the next 3 months of trading, we'll give you a month's credit. And do something like that, which is going to make sure that your cash flow is okay.
And that's the hardest thing.
And you keep the idea, and you keep the whole idea to move it forward. I just think you need to go into this with a little bit of foresight and advice. I'm dealing with one at the moment where it's a very sad situation, but no shareholders agreement, no proper idea on what happens if, and it's hard work digging yourselves out of that situation.
Agreed. And you know, actually this morning I was in a conversation with someone who had gone into business with someone else, and you know, they didn't have the money to do it just quite then. Something's happened, and you know, it's become untenable straight away. There's money that's crossed, there's arguments, and it's worth laying out the battlefield. It's worth laying out the steps in which you take, and to spend time doing that is essential for your own mental health, I think.
If you go into a cinema and you know the way and you know the way out, if you know there's going to be a huge rush at the end, you go, I'm going to go for that doorway over there. You've planned your exit. And you probably won't need to take those exits in an emergency. If you had an emergency, you'd know the way out.
I like the way you explain that, because often you sit down with people who are motivated, they've got an idea, the last thing they think about is exit. Oh, it's not a positive thing. No, hold on a second, it's essential. And that's a great way of putting it, you know.
The trick, if there is one, as a lawyer, is not to come across as too negative. Because we have to think like that. But you still need to think of the good bits. I was dealing with one group of people, 3 ladies and a bloke who's an old friend of mine, and the 3 ladies never run their own business, and they were buying a business of £3 million between the 4 of them, and they said, "Why are we doing this? This is going to be so stressful." I said, "What sort of phone have you got?" And she said, "Well, I've only got a Samsung. I'd love an Apple, but I can't afford it." I said, "As a director, you can buy yourself an Apple. What sort of car have you got?" "Oh, I've only got a crap little car." I said, "Well, when you start making a success, you can go and get your really nice Tesla." And that's the bonus of being a company shareholder and director and owner. To have that ability to think for yourself, to be that little bit individual.
Personally, I wish I'd met you 3 years ago when, you know, I was doing my little dealings of Footsteps. But hey, you learn a lot. And you know, often if you fall, it's okay. If you don't make a mistake, you don't learn. But it's mitigating the risk of the mistake and making it like you don't fall down a cliff and hit yourself on every branch and every spot.
The joy of that situation is you learned. We do know each other, and you're one of those people who will come up with new ideas all the time.
Oh yeah, that's my bag. That's my bag. I just got to try and get the right amount of money for those ideas. That's my problem. So
write them down.
Oh God, my God, they're always falling out of me all over the place. It's terrible. So if you were to say, I mean, it's great because you've got, you know, people thinking about starting out to business might not think that they can afford a lawyer. That's the very moment that you need to have a conversation with them, and you'd have a conversation with anyone.
Of course I would.
You know, then people don't think that actually the door is open.
Yeah, of course I would. Frankly, I don't think many lawyers would offer this, but frankly, if someone was starting up, it was a good idea, and they were, you could see they were going to head somewhere. I'd rather they paid me in instalments.
You know, that's a long-term relationship. That's a great way of doing it. In fact, actually, what I do is quite frightening. A lot of people go, "Oh, of course, it's automation," you know, and it can be quite daunting. And I do that as well. You know, it's like, let's start with this bit. This, you're not going to come overnight, but this is.
We both want to see people succeed.
Yeah, of course, and you become the best testimonial. You know, and they're going to bring you other business. And on that note, what would be your ideal referral?
Oh, I love more than anything else, I guess, I love an engineering business, particularly one which is a family business, where perhaps, and I'm dealing one at the moment, we've got two young people who've taken on their dad's business. They change it hugely because they're into code and software and IT. Dad was just into one or two great ideas. They've put an extra couple of noughts on the turnover. They've got huge intellectual property rights involved, and they need to evolve. So we need to get that whole company and share structure where no older generation can say no. And the sad thing is that the father really doesn't recognise the fact that he has created two fantastic children with fantastic brains, fantastic business brains, and he just needs to let them get on with it.
Yeah, and that's, it's a difficulty being a farmer.
We could actually just create a thing whereby he's got non-voting shares. And you would have the best pension fund ever.
Well, yeah, of course. And it's difficult to let go, isn't it, sometimes when you've birthed something. And the hardest thing is to let go. Have you got any kids?
Yeah, 2 kids.
Tell me about that.
Oh, boy and a girl.
Are they good?
They
cause you stress?
They all cause you stress. They all cause you, I mean, why do you work hard? You work hard for your own satisfaction, but also for your family.
Yeah, of course.
So they are right there up on the list of priorities, and I love them to bits.
Yeah. And have they done anything that's really made your heart go, oh my God, that's so good? You could say on camera now, they'll hear it.
My daughter's having a grandchild from me, which is actually the best thing ever.
It's your first?
Yeah.
You look forward to it?
Yeah. And my son, it's little things like they come home and spend your birthday with you.
Oh, that's lovely.
It just doesn't take much effort, but that just makes your day.
And my dad's not very well, and he's in Australia, so we went. I took my daughter with me, and we went over there for 4 weeks. It was just the most beautiful time spent with them. We had such a great time, and they're just special moments that you couldn't wrap them up and give them to someone just forever. Yeah, so that's great. And congratulations on being a granddad soon. Who did I ask about being a granddad the other day? It was Tim, and Tim says, I love taking them on adventures, and then you hand them back for the sweets. You get your own back on your own kids.
I loved it. I mean, my wife would work weekends when our daughter was very young, and so I had total care of her quite often from quite an early age. Loved every minute of it. Absolutely loved every minute.
Priceless.
I've got a big maternal streak in me, I think.
Oh, you are a chap. So, tell me, what would you say to someone about joining BNI? Why would they do it? Why should they do it?
It's okay. The bits you shouldn't join is the fun, the friendship, the mutual support. That's not the reason to join.
No.
But it is a big part of it.
Yeah.
The reason you join is that those referrals you get, which take you completely outside. So I get referrals all the time from people I know, from people who are clients of mine, from accountants who send me work. But that's that sphere, that captured group of people. It's the uncaptured group of people where I get a client who I would never meet in a million years. And I had one of those the end of last week from someone in our chapter. Some people run a multi-million-pound business and they're in trouble, and I would never ever have heard of them. I'm getting great joy from helping them out.
Oh, that's great.
They're decent people, and it's proven to be good fun already.
And what would be the rule? What would you say if someone says, I'm thinking about being a BNI member, that's a bit like there's a bit too many rules or this sort of predisposed idea concept that people have of it. I mean, to me, it's been broken. I mean, I've done lots of network and it's been pretty poor, to be honest. Yeah. It's sort of like just.
So I would have been regarded as the king of networking 15, 20 years ago. I would go to an event 3-4 times a day.
Wow.
I would go to events every day of the week. There'd be something wrong if I didn't go to at least one event every day. So I've been there and done it. having done that, I think that world has gone. The groups that I would have networked in those days have changed so much that most of the people going there are purely set in sales. And I don't want to go out and meet a room full of salespeople.
No.
Get nothing from it. I want to go to a room full of decision makers and people who've got friends who are decision makers.
Yeah.
And that's a different idea. So I go out and I meet people, and as I said, I've had not a huge number of referrals, but the referrals I've had have been nice people, including in our own chapter, where I've really enjoyed doing a good job for somebody I regard as a friend.
I mean, for me, this chapter saved my life. I mean, the background, I lost my partner 18 months ago suddenly. She was only 37, and I'd always worked for myself for many years, but I was absolutely destroyed. I just couldn't even pick my head out of the pillow, really. And I just knew I had to do something. And I know she always pushed me, and I thought, you know what, and I joined that group, and I have to say, and I'm so pleased that you're part of our group, to be honest, because it's a great honour to have you there, because I can just see that there's a mix of pools and different things you can swim in that you'd love to. But, you know, that group, all of them have been such support, and it's like having a specialist boardroom, you know, there at your, not beck and call, but, you know, it's just so easy to I mean, it's been the best spend I've ever had.
Well, when I started my degree, somehow I ended up, literally it took me an hour to get a place at Polytechnic. So I went from sitting on someone's bed, this lady who wasn't very... she wasn't very well, and I sought her advice, and she phoned up her brother-in-law, who put me on to Professor Clive Schmidt off in London, who put me on to City of London Polytechnic, as it was in those days.
Yeah.
And I phoned them up, and they said, "Well, come for an interview next Tuesday." And that was where I went. I would never ever have thought of going to London. So I turned up on the first day there, and my class was 60 odd people. 50% were white, 50% were non-white, 50% were male, 50% were non-male. There was a few gay people, and just generally a mixture of people from all sorts of backgrounds.
Yeah, I can
They
imagine.
were all lovely. They were all lovely, but I, as a country boy, suddenly got landed in with a group of people who I never would have met. I would never have come across that group, that mixed group of people. And BNI is a little bit like that.
Very much colourful. Absolutely.
You get parachuted into that group of people doing a whole array of different things. It's lovely.
It's like, you know, this is the one-to-one to me. You know, if someone wants to know what a one-to-one is in like BNI, it's having a conversation. It's understanding, you know, those people. Now, you know, without taking much more of your time, I'm sort of coming to the conclusion of our little interview, and I've found it absolutely fascinating. I've really enjoyed it. And there'll be more conversations, I'm sure, with a few sherbets at some stage. But what would be your goals for this year, Malcom? What would be your aim this year for you? What have you got anything, you know, you think?
I would love to get everyone in our chapter to know a bit more about my business, and I would really love to know more about their businesses, because you don't know how to help people until you know about their businesses. So it's very important for me to get to know everybody else, and that's something which I'm hoping to do one by one. I've already got that. Had a one-to-one with a guy this morning who'd never had a one-to-one before.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So
I thought I'd had a one-to-one with almost everybody now.
So, and I actually ended up giving him career advice. I'm 65, well, I had to give career advice. He's a really talented young guy, and at the start of his career, and to help him build up his confidence and realise where he could be in only a few short years, because he's got the talent. He just needs the motivation and confidence.
Yeah, confidence is a lot.
So I'm looking forward to bumping into him in about 5 years' time as a partner, as opposed to a trainee, and I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, that's great. I love the fact that you've got this long vision, and it's an admirable thing. I think sometimes you know, people come in and think, I'm going to pay my money and I want results, bam, bam, bam. And, you know, there's no time spent on building a relationship.
I had a referral today from someone who I didn't have a clue who it was, so I had to go back about 15 years ago when I first met them. They'd remembered me because I did that work for them. So they sent me a referral today. And BNI is just like that. It's a long-term thing. You do get work.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, for me, I've been very much trying to probably undercut myself, but to show and demonstrate the things that I do is quite, it's not new, but it's new for small businesses down this sort of area of the world. And then I just started having a look, going to other, because as a BNI member, you don't just have your chapter, you can go to all the others if you don't have a seat that contravenes. Well, I haven't found anyone that does what I do in the whole of the south of England. And I'm like, wow, you know, and that makes it funny. What do I do? Oh, you might find that on another episode, and I might get Malcom to interview me. But it's been an absolute pleasure, Malcom, to talk to you. Thank you so much indeed. Now, in the link in the description below, there'll be all the contact information to contact Malcom. And, you know, I would encourage anyone with a great idea to have a chat with Malcom, because he can put you in the right direction with the right roots to really grow and the wings to fly. So, you know, never look at this thing as a cost, look at this thing as an investment in yourself. And I truly believe that from my own experiences. So in the link in the description below, there'll be all the information. And of course, you can meet me and Malcom at one of our sessions and join in a BNI session. It's really easy. And the link there is also below there. We meet on a Friday, and we hope to see you there. So Malcom, thank you very much for your time.
Take care. Thanks.
Cheers.
Cheers.